All right. Connie, why don't you go ahead and let me know that you can hear us okay and that everything is good, and then I'll do my nice introduction. Just throw a message in the chat box for me, or Donna, or anybody that can hear me.
I can hear you.
I'm glad you can. I just need to make sure they can. Can you guys hear me okay? Let's see. Hold on. Usually I get yes, everything's good, can hear you.
Kathy
Here
says
we
yes.
go. Yep. Okay, great. All right. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Okay, so I am going to do a proper introduction, and just I'm really excited about today because she's got quite an impressive bio here. Dr. Gabby is a leading expert on holistic medicine, author of Blissful Business, TV host at the Health and Wellness Channel, and expert wellness blogger at Huffington Post and SheKnows.com. She has traveled to over 40 countries, worked with thousands of clients, including celebrities and high-profile people, and has more than 2,000 hours of training in yoga, body work, meditation, and energy healing, which is amazing. I get an hour of yoga in and I'm impressed with myself. Dr. Gabby is the founder of womenandwellness.com and has more than a decade of teaching experience under her belt at top universities in mind-body medicine and holistic health. Her expertise is regularly featured in national and local media such as MSNBC, the New York Post, and U.S. News and World. And I didn't know all that last part until I read that. So that's pretty impressive. So you're called Dr. Gabby. So tell us what you're a doctor of. Tell me about the doctor part.
Okay, so I did my doctoral research in holistic medicine about 10 years ago. I was at the California Institute of Integral Studies. My undergrad work was in psychology, and when I got there, I was really passionate about holistic health, but there was no PhD programs in holistic health.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there specifically because they have a multidisciplinary curriculum, and you can bring in pieces of medicine and psychology and spirituality and science. You can kind of mix it all up together, which I thought was really fun.
Yeah.
And so my literature review was all about healing arts from 15,000 years ago to today. Like, what were people doing in indigenous cultures? What were they doing during like the witch hunts and all that kind of stuff? And then what are they doing now in modern medicine? And then I picked women who were doing different kinds of medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, Chinese medicine, energy medicine, and I interviewed them and I said, tell me about being a healer. Like, what is your experience? You know, who are your role models? What can I expect if I'm a healer, if I'm doing this work? Because I didn't feel like there was any really good literature or memoir or stories about women who were doing non-traditional medicine. And I was craving them because I was on a non-traditional medical path. And I was really kind of wanting to seek out mentors and role models and people that I could follow that could, you know, give me some guidance and some feedback about, you know, this whole world. And so it was amazing. So that's the doctorate. It's my diploma says I have a PhD in transformative studies, which technically it's like holistic medicine. And then I started teaching. So then my advisor at the university invited me to start teaching some stress management classes for other doctoral students, because I don't know if there's anybody on the call who's ever done a PhD, but you feel like you're losing your mind the whole time that you do it. It's just so hard, so stressful. So I started teaching there, and then I started reaching out to other universities looking for teaching gigs, and I've been doing that for 10 years. Now I've been teaching holistic health and mind-body medicine.
So you're currently teaching still then?
I am.
Okay, so what are your students like? Like, what kind of, because if you told me that you have a degree in transformational studies, I'd be like, okay, what is that? What does that look like? So
yeah.
What are the students that come to your classes? What are they looking to do with their lives? And what do you teach?
So currently I'm teaching in a master's program at Georgian Court University, which is up in New Jersey, but we've put the whole program online. And you can get a master's degree of holistic health there. And the curriculum, I've written a lot of the curriculum. The curriculum is like an introduction to alternative healing therapies, an energy medicine course, a meditation course, a holistic stress management course, a holistic counseling course, health, humor, and healing, like all these kind of really fun healing plants, all these, really fun research-based courses about all the different therapies, non-traditional therapies that you can use for health and healing. And you can use it for physical conditions like cancer, diabetes, things like that. Or you can use it for more like mental, emotional conditions like depression, anxiety. And so the students research and read about what therapies are available and how they can use them. And a lot of them are also simultaneously doing something at like IIN or Well Coaches or somewhere so that they can have a practice. Some of my students are nurses and they want to integrate these modalities into a hospital or a hospice or a clinic or something. Some of my students, it's really just sort of a passion project. They love this. They don't really know what they want to do. They're not sure how they want to practice, but they know that they love holistic healing and they want to learn as much as possible. So that's the kind of current program that I'm a part of. But I've also taught at universities and doctoral programs where students are doing very advanced research about, can I use guided visualization for cancer patients, and does it affect the outcome? Like there are also students that are really looking at this, and the implications for healthcare, for integrative medicine, all that kind of stuff. So a range of things.
Okay. So a health coach could have access to something like that then. It doesn't have to be someone that's, okay. So it's not like a college, university where you have to take a 4-year course and the only way they get to get access to that is to go to a 4-year university type of thing.
Well, for the master's program, I mean, for any master's program in the country, you have to have a bachelor's.
Right.
This school, you can do your minor in holistic health. If you don't yet have a bachelor's and you wanted to do bachelor's, you could do bachelor's like in psych or nursing or whatever you wanted to do, and also do the minor in holistic health. But the programs where I teach at the graduate level, you have to have a bachelor's degree.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. So tell me how that carried you into what you do today, like your podcasting, your blogging, all of that. Let's start with the blogging part though. I read your blog the other day about the wellness, how we kind of feel isolated. So I think that's an important place to start, because I think that, a lot of people that are taking this course they're coaching actively. Some of them are brand new. And, there is an element of not loneliness, but kind of to being a wellness entrepreneur. And if I didn't have my dogs, I literally wouldn't see another living thing some days until my husband comes home, 12 hours later. Right. And he doesn't get it because he walks in and I automatically accost him. I'm like, what are you up to? How was your day? Are you hungry? And he's like, I've been talking to people all day. I don't want company right now. Like I'm like, but I do, So tell me a little bit about that. Like what do you see with people with that, and what tips can we, take away to overcome?
Right. So one of the things that happened over the years as I was teaching is that students come to you, right? And they ask you questions like, oh, Dr. Gabby, I'm graduating. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to find a job. Can you look at my resume? Can you write me a letter of recommendation? Right? Like I was having all these conversations over the years with students about what they were going to do when they graduated. And I didn't have, a lot of advice and feedback prepared. I mean, I knew what I did and I would tell them, well, this is what I did, and sure, I'll write you a letter and stuff. But as I taught for longer and longer, I had more and more students that had these questions. And then I decided I really need to figure out a way to support them. Because I went to my program director and I said, look, can we create courses for this? How are we going to help them? And she was like, no, we can't do anything. It's not in our scope. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it on my own. So I wrote an online course. The book that I have, Blissful Business, that's a lot of the content from the course. It's about, just the fundamentals. Like, do you want to do one-on-one sessions? Okay, here's the basics. Do you want to lead workshops and groups? Here's the basics. Do you want to do public speaking? Here's the basics. Like, it's just a very kind of fundamental 101 guide to, what to do when you graduate from anything, from IIN, from graduate program. It doesn't matter. Like once you kind of step out of school or certification and into the world, there are certain things you have to do and you have to know. And as part of my efforts to put this out into the world and get it out, I had to find a lot of different creative ways to share this. And I've been doing the blogging, I've been doing the podcasting, I've been speaking all over the country, I've been interviewed, I'm coming to your class, like all of this is an effort to say to people, look, there's an easy way to do this. You don't have to recreate the wheel. There are people that will support you. There's community, there's information. And I really just wanted to create a conversation and a community around this specifically for the reasons that you mentioned, this feeling of isolation, loneliness, confusion, what am I doing? And then signing up for stuff you don't really need, you know, buying stuff you don't really need, building out fancy websites, or I don't know, people do all kinds of crazy things, like because they're scared and they don't know what to do. And they're like, I need everything. And you don't need any of that. So, I really wanted to solve that problem for people. And so that's why I created the things that I did. And as I started doing the coaching and building the community and connecting with people and supporting them, I noticed that there were some patterns. Like, and one of the patterns was this, like, I feel so alone. And there's so many ways to solve that. I mean, just them being part of this community or my community, like, you can go to a co-working space. Like, at least 3 days a week, I work out of a local co-working space just so I have some colleagues and I have some people to eat lunch with. And, you know, I actively participate in tons of networking events. I'm at a conference at least once a month, and I build up my tribe and I build up those relationships. So all of these things, you know, all of these challenges that we face being an entrepreneur, there are really easy solutions to most of them. That are accessible and affordable and stuff. So I really like sharing that information with people so that they don't have to be so stuck, you know?
Yeah. I've never heard of that. What did you just say a minute ago? The co-networking places? What's that?
Co-working spaces.
Co-working spaces. I've never heard of that.
There's thousands and thousands of buildings around the country called co-working spaces.
Okay.
Some of them are owned by an organization called WeWork.
Okay. I'm writing
WeWork
this down.
has a building in every city pretty much in the nation. But besides WeWork, there are other ones. Like the one that I go to is called the Center for Social Change. And it's about 40 nonprofit and social activist organizations that have all got together in a building. And, you know, it's like you share the rent, right? Like I pay $80, and depending on how much space you want, you pay a certain amount of money and you share a space together that has a kitchen, that has a conference room, has a meditation room, and we work there together as a community.
That's awesome.
Yes.
How could I not have heard of this? And when I've been working from home literally since 1998.
What city are you in?
I'm in Clarksville now, but I used to live in Atlanta. I lived in like
they're definitely in Atlanta for sure. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I lived in 4 different places in Atlanta, all, you know, and never have heard of this. And, you know, I was in marketing before this. So like not the kind of marketing we're thinking, but, you know, promotional advertising marketing. And I was lonely and bored. Like I need somewhere to go. So I want to stay on the subject for just a minute, because I have a feeling that this is going to be helpful for some people who are feeling like they're spinning their wheels at home, and maybe just getting out of that space is going to be helpful for them. So would this be a place where someone could rent a space if they wanted to rent a space to hold a conference or to do a group talk? Or okay.
Yeah, we do events there. Like I'm also part of a national organization called the Holistic Chamber of Commerce, which is really amazing.
Okay.
And, so we hold twice a month events at the co-working space for the chamber, and we have 20, 30, 50 people come, and we do snacks, we do talks, we do panels, whatever. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff happening on a regular basis. WeWork is kind of the most popular. It's kind of the McDonald's of co-working spaces. It's like the most popular one.
Okay.
And that each of the co-working spaces has a certain culture. WeWork's culture is very kind of techy, and, you know, a lot of people in there like doing startups and doing marketing and social media and stuff like that. And, you know, their social activities are like kind of ping pong and beer, kind of like Google kind of vibe.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
My space that I work out of, I chose specifically because the culture is more about let's get together and do meditation, or let's get together and my friend led a workshop where we made salads in a jar, like stuff like that. Like it's a different culture. So, you know, when you explore the different centers, you can explore which one sort of matches your personality.
Right. That's very cool. The other thing to think about maybe is that if you are just getting rolling in this business and you need to surround yourself with techie people and people who know that information, renting space somewhere around them where you could maybe partner or trade off some services and get some help would be a good idea too.
Yes.
I am so going to look this up and share this as a resource. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course.
I'm like, golly, I could have used that so many years ago, right? Okay, so tell me about, let's talk a little bit about the blogging. I want to talk about that because there is a really big myth in the wellness world that if you want people to know who you are, you need to blog. And some people just hate to write, right? And I honestly, I mean, I could write a quick paragraph or pull information out of content over the last, 6-7 years, but it's not my thing either. I mean, you're going to find a blog from me like 5 months ago. I'm guilty of not blogging regularly. What are your thoughts about whether or not that's necessary? Because I've found success without having to blog every single week. You know what I mean?
Right. I think blogging makes sense as part of an overall strategy. What you need for your business is you need visibility. You need people to know where you are and what you're doing. And they need to understand the specifics of what they're doing so they know specifically who's appropriate for you. So if you're a new health coach and your target is weight loss, and specifically weight loss with people that maybe have like co-occurring disorders, like they have a diabetes, so they have different things happening, right? Like if that's your niche, you need a way to have visibility and to make sure that everyone around you knows exactly what you're doing. So how do you do that? Well, there's a lot of different ways to do it. And you got to pick some of them. You can't pick none of them. You got to pick some of them. Like one of them is online marketing. What is online marketing? It's being on social media. It's having Google ads. It's, retargeting, all this kind of stuff. What's another option? Another option is blogging. It's not only just blogging for yourself, but doing guest blogs for Huffington Post, Mind Body Green, even a lot of the print publications have online blogs now, like Shape Magazine and Self Magazine and stuff. So writing is another way to create the visibility. Podcasting, giving interviews, going on TV, having a YouTube station. I mean, there's so many ways. You have to pick, I think, what works for your personality and what you like doing, but you gotta do something.
Yes.
I think the biggest problem that I see with new people is they're like, well, I made a website and I post on Facebook and I don't have any clients. Like, no.
It takes work.
No.
You got to get out there.
It's like for the first couple of years of your business, you're recruiting all of your clients. You're going out and you're finding them and you're saying, I know that this is going to help you. And you're bringing them into your practice until, you hit that tipping point where they're sending referrals and you've built your referral network or whatever. But like at first, you really need to think of it as like going out and recruiting either face-to-face or online. Blogging is just one of those. Blogging works for me because I love to write. It's one of my passions. So if it's not one of your passions, if you hate it, you don't have to do it, but you need to compensate by doing other things.
Right. And so what are your thoughts about video blogging? So that's something I'm interested in doing and adding. I'm currently building some stuff on my website right now for that. But I like doing quick 3 to 5 minute videos that are helpful with tips and tricks that can, help coaches or whatever. What are your thoughts about that? Do you think that's a good avenue for communication and, being available for people?
So, in marketing sales language, there's a word called conversion. I don't know if everyone knows what conversion means, but conversion means when you put something out, whether it's a Facebook Live or a blog or a podcast, how many people that listen to that become your clients, right?
Yep.
So I think the critical thing when talking about this as a business, not just like as a hobby, but like as a business, is what's the conversion?
Right.
So what's the conversion on your Facebook Live? What's the conversion on your video blog? The numbers, like statistically speaking, online stuff has a 2 to 5% conversion rate, which means that if 100 people watch the blog that you did, and they're people who are your appropriate target audience, they're people who want to lose weight or whatever, 2 to 5 of them are potentially would become clients. So when you just think of it in terms of numbers, like I'll have a lot of clients that will get frustrated because they're like, well, 5 people commented on the video, how come I didn't get a client? And I'll say, well, because you need to reach another 95 people. That's why.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really about the numbers, which if you're a heart centered person, if you're a health and wellness entrepreneur, numbers can feel kind of like constricting, or like you're just not necessarily attracted to them. And like, you know, you're just more comfortable with like, you know, the more creative aspects of your practice, or the relationships. But numbers in this case, I think, are significant so that you can understand how many people you need to reach in order to create that conversion. So I would say with video blogging, for me, it's the same as writing. It's like, did the content convert? Like if you gave tips about recipes for the holidays or something, and then, you know, after you did a series of these videos, you started telling people about this like after holiday detox, and people were so excited about, you know, the recipes and the relationship that they developed with you over time, that they're excited to sign up with the detox, and a bunch of them convert, then you've done a really good job.
Right.
If you're putting out videos and nothing's happening, and you're not getting any clients, you might, you know, feel like you're being busy and productive, but you're not building your business.
Exactly. Right.
So
even though you enjoy doing it, you're missing a message somewhere. Something's missing.
Yes, some piece is not there for you.
Yeah. So since we're kind of touching on the topic of videos, here, do you have any tips for people to get over the fear of being live on video, or doing videos, or being face-to-face on webinars and meetings? We worked on that a little bit when we first got started, and I have some information for them and tips, and, you know, told them to do them and load them to the page so that just us, you know, just we could see them with no judgment. What are some tips for you from your end? What do you think?
Yeah, I see that a lot. It's funny because that was never a thing for me, but I definitely, it's very common. People, like, they'll be like chit-chatting like this with you, and then you turn on the camera and they're just like,
yeah, or they go like this. And you're like, wait a minute, where are you? Where did you go?
Yeah, that's really common. I mean, what I've done with some of my clients is I've like coached them through it, right? I mean, I think it depends how much support you need. Do you need someone there with you that can coach you through it, help you create a script, help you practice, you know, help you shoot some stuff, help you build up your confidence? Like, do you need that level of support? Because there are people who can support you at that level.
Yeah.
You know, I think practice makes it easier, and we're always more critical of the stuff we're creating than other people. You know, we're always more judgmental of ourselves and what we're creating. So I think putting some stuff out there, you get the positive feedback, and, you know, you sort of build up the confidence after you try it a few times. Some people are never going to be comfortable. I just think some people, it goes back to the writing thing. Like, you don't have to do it to build a successful business. So if it's at that level of discomfort that you just, you know, you're paralyzed, I would focus on writing or something else.
Or maybe even audio meetings or something like teleconference type of thing, so you don't have
like
to
the
see
podcast.
yourself. Yeah. Okay. So the other thing, let's kind of lean into the podcasting part of things real quick too. So I don't have a problem with the on-screen stuff either. I love the interaction. I don't mind. I mean, I can get on the phone and talk for hours. Like, so if someone were interested in sharing more information besides writing, would podcasting be a good delivery system? I've heard it can be really difficult to actually set it up. There's a lot of moving pieces to getting started with podcasting.
That wasn't my experience at all.
Good, because I want to hear something different, because that is what has kept me from doing it for the last 2 years.
That's not my experience at all.
Tell me how you got started and how easy it was.
I found cool people like you, and I said, can I interview you? All my podcasts are interviews, like 20-minute interviews. So I reached out to some really cool people and said, can I interview you? And then we met on Zoom, just like you and I are meeting. I recorded it just like you're recording it, and then I uploaded it. Then I uploaded it to SoundCloud and connected my SoundCloud account to iTunes, and 24 hours later it appears on iTunes. That's all I do.
That's it. Because I'm about to hire somebody. I'm about to hire a guy that does
all I do.
Okay.
That's it.
I'm going to put some extra thinking into it. But I did speak with him. I mean, he was really, it's JJ Virgin's guy, the guy that helps her. And so, I mean, it's quite a, it's a bit of money to put down and all.
Well, how about you give me the money, and then and then I'll tell you what I just told you, and then
right.
No, I mean, I I have iMovies on my Mac, and I put a little intro and outro. Takes me about maybe 20, 30 minutes to clean it up if it needs to be cleaned up. You know, sometimes it doesn't even take that long.
Mm-hmm.
And then I upload it, and then, you know, I have on my website, like I'm pretty tech savvy. So on my website, I can add posts by myself. So I can add the podcast as a post on my website so that it's there. I don't, to me, it's like, it's the same thing with my book, the book Blissful Business I have on Amazon. I wrote it in a Word document. I hired a girl on Upwork to add pretty pictures to it and create an EPUB file. And then we uploaded it to Amazon. I mean, like, I just try to do things as easy as possible. Like, I'm not trying to make a lot of work for myself and spend a lot of money. Like, I just want things to be very, very simple.
Yeah, and I agree. I'm all about simplifying things for all of my students and the people that I work with. And then I turn around and I really can complicate things for myself like no other. I can simply walk through how do you launch a course, but I paid someone, you know, 2 people combined $10,000 to teach me how. So, I mean, but I put it into a lesson for them in less than 4 hours. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I'm going to put that in the back of my mind as I get ready to do this podcasting thing. And I may be reaching out to you if I.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay. All right. So let's talk about one-on-one coaching. So I know that that's part of it. That's part of your book. And I'm going to direct people to your book as well. Cause it's like $10 online and you have the basics.
Like a no-brainer.
Yeah. And so, but you talk about having a profitable one-on-one coaching practice. That's not what we hear a lot about. And honestly, it's one of those things that I am very honest about, that yes, there are only so many hours in a day. So I had a profitable practice, but I also had a lot of clients, like 12 to 15 clients at a time every month, you know, rotating in and out. So I was very busy making good money. But when someone is new to health coaching and they're just starting out with one-on-ones, mm-hmm. How can they make it profitable when they don't feel like they can charge a specific amount of money, right? And, you know, I just need to know like what that looks like from your end of things. It's hard for me to visualize that unless you're just really killing it with business. And it took me years to get there.
So it doesn't take me years. Like I've built a practice in a couple different ways. Like the first phase of my practice from 2000 to 2005 was seeing massage therapy patients. And I started at a spa. I went to a spa and I was making, I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 bucks an hour at a spa. And then once I built up enough kind of private clients, I transitioned just to doing it on my own. And I would do it as like alcohol services or whatever. I would go to their offices or whatever. And I built it and built it and built it. And then when I wanted to add yoga or energy medicine or wellness coaching or business coaching or whatever, each time I used a similar formula. First of all, I think it's really important that you know who you want to serve and that you're very specific about who you want to serve. I mean, if you had a brain tumor right now, you would go to a brain surgeon. You're not going to go to the emergency room. You're not going to go to your, pediatrician. Like, you're going to go to a brain surgeon. So people look for people who are experts at something. That's what they look for if they have a specific problem. And also, that if you go to a brain surgeon, you're going to pay a lot of money because that's their specialty. So also, the more specific your expertise, the more that you can charge because, you serve such a specific small population. So there's like that aspect of it. The second part is put yourself in places where there's already people. So at each phase in my career, when I wanted to teach, I didn't just put a course online. I taught at a university. I built up my reputation as a teacher. You don't get paid shit to teach at a university. I don't know if anybody knows that, but you don't make any money. But I built up my professional reputation. I built up my resume. I met students from all over the country. I built up my mailing list. And then when I said, hey, by the way, I'm doing this, immediately 10 people can jump in because I've established myself and I've built something that makes sense. So I also think it's good for you to put yourself in environments where people need what you want, like that there's already people there that are open to your services. And that comes from, either getting a job somewhere, building relationships with people that have a clientele mm-hmm. and letting them know, what you can offer, what services you can offer and see if they can refer to you. But I think just going out and just starting from scratch with no relationships, like it just doesn't make any sense to me as like a way to build something quickly, you know?
Yeah. So that's part of the problem I think people are having. And when I say it took me years, it's because I was coaching for about a year for free, because I was like, of course I'll help you. I don't have to make a living. And then, you know, I became a personal trainer and entered a physical therapy business, which gave me access, right? And I did try, like I actually kind of teach a little bit on the other side of the niche thing. I think that there's a lot of coaches that are paralyzed when they don't believe that they know what they're supposed to be focusing on. So I teach them to get out there and start coaching anyone that has a heartbeat, because everyone could do with better food and more sleep and things like that. And your niche might, you know, it might evolve as you go through the process of meeting people and learning what they need. But not a lot of people are actually in facilities like chiropractors' offices, massage therapy offices, or physical therapist office where they can develop those relationships. That's the barrier, I think. So what my thing is, and tell me what
you gotta meet those people. You have to meet those people. I literally, when I moved to LA and I restarted my practice, I sent out 200 physical letters. I didn't want to send an email. I sent out physical letters with information about me and how I want to have a relationship with them. I sent out to 200 practitioners, people who were physical therapists and chiropractors and whatever. And I said, I want to have a relationship with you, blah, blah, blah. Can we have a meeting? I think maybe 10 of them or so responded with an open, and again, that's a conversion, right? If we understand the numbers, we don't get disappointed. We don't feel rejected. We're like, oh, great. I had like, you know, whatever, 5% conversion. You know, like we know that that's going to happen. But I think I had maybe 10 people said, oh yeah, come on over. And then I developed a relationship with a chiropractor. He brought me in to teach some workshops. The patients started working with me. So you have to make it happen. You have to make it happen. Like, if you can't go and be a part of a practice, which there are a lot of places, I know for sure in Miami and New York and stuff like that, where there's centers where there's multiple practitioners working out of a shared space and a wellness clinic type thing. But if you're not going to be part of that, or you can't be part of that, then you have to build the relationships actively.
Yeah, one of the things I recommend is doing meet and greets, like going out and asking someone, you know, in order, like introduce yourself and ask if you could set up a table and just talk to their people and introduce yourself, offer some value, and it would bring business to that business as well. Like if you are giving value, adding value to their practice, isn't it going to be, you know, naturally going to bring other people in?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. I mean, so we're on track with that. I just wanted to know if there was anything, you know, any magic we were missing here.
So Veronica asked a question, can we get a copy of an example letter to chiropractor? Who'd you send the letter to? Can I answer that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, hi, Veronica. I sent the letter directly to the chiropractor. And I was like, hey, Dr. Paul, I'm Dr. Gabby, you know, and I told them a little bit about myself and included like, you know, like a postcard type thing with some stuff about me. And whenever you pitch somebody about building a relationship, you want to offer. It's about giving. What can you give to them? It's not about what can I get. It's not like, can I have your clients? Can you refer clients to me? Like nobody's going to respond to that. What you want to do is you want to offer to give. And so, you know, I knew some of the stuff he was doing in his practice, and I said, hey, like, I think maybe your patients might benefit from, you know, a talk about food allergies or whatever I'm pitching. And then I offer to do a complimentary. Can I come? You know, can we do a Saturday morning or a Thursday night or something? And I'll talk to them. I'll share this information for free. You're gifting them something, you know? And then when I came in and I did it and everybody loved it, whatever, it's like, oh, I'm going to give you clients. But you really have to come from a place of what value. And I write about this a lot in my book, is really looking at what do people have happening in their practice and what can you add to that? What can you contribute to that? Not what can you get and what can you take? Because nobody wants a needy person like clinging on to their practice. So when you communicate, you really need to come from a place of understanding who they are, who they serve, and what you can contribute to that.
Yeah, something that might complement their business. So if you have a chiropractor who doesn't have time to teach the food aspects of things, then that's something you could offer, or someone who doesn't do the sleep part, or, you know, because I teach those 5 foundations, which we talked about when I did your podcast. And I think, you know, those are areas that appeal to anyone who doesn't want to have more fun in their life. Or, you know, one of my students actually did a a red light, like for preschoolers. She did like a red light setup about foods that the red foods are the no-go foods and yellow and green or whatever. But she had a great time. She was so nervous about it. I know it just went over swimmingly. She had something to offer to them, to those children, to those schools. So yeah, I think that's great. And I think it is hard for us when we are trying to build our business and we're like trying so hard to figure out how to make this successful. It is hard to think, what can I give, right? Because we get stuck in who's going to want to host me, who's going to want, how can I get more clients? It's what can I get?
You can't come from get. I write about this so much in my writing in my book. You cannot come from get. You can't approach your discovery calls. You can't approach anything from get. That's not going to work. Yeah. You have to approach everything from give. What can I give my client? What can I get? Like it for me anyway. I mean, maybe other people teach other things, but whenever I get in that get mode, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
for me.
So did you, when you got those relationships with those businesses, is that something you did on a regular basis? So once you did the free talk and you offered that complimentary time with them, how did that convert into you being a paid consultant or a paid coach to help their people?
Yeah, so like the people, he invited his patients to come to the talk. Mm-hmm. So, all I had to do was show up, and then they heard the talk, and then they said, oh my God, that was really helpful. And I said, great. Well, can you give me your phone number, your email? We'll have a conversation. I'll see how I can help you. Again, from give, not from get, from give. Like, you came to my talk, you listened to me. How can I help you? And then I would get on the phone with them and I would listen. Like I still do discovery calls now. I would listen. Okay, tell me what your unique situation is. And then I would say, if I felt like there was something I could do to help, then I would say, this is how I feel like I can support you. This is the way in which I feel like I can support you. If I felt like I couldn't support them, I would say, I don't think I can support you, but I know a really great Chinese medicine doctor that I think is perfect for you. And that's more of the give, because then when I give to the Chinese medicine doctor and the person shows up and says, Dr. Gabby told me to come to you, he's like, Dr. Gabby. And then when he has someone that comes in that's appropriate for me, he's like, I think you should go to Dr. Gabby. Mm-hmm. And this is how the ecosystem works. It's this like, the birds eat the bugs and the bugs eat the dirt. I don't know. Like it's like the ecosystem, which is why for me, I need to be part of the ecosystem. It's the only way that I've ever thrived building, having a long-term thing.
I see a book on your horizon, The Ecosystem of Business. Just saying.
Well, I'm writing another book now to give people like kind of these anecdotes about my journey and how you can think about it. Because I want people to be successful. I know how painful it is to have a gift that you really, really want to share, or you've had a transformative experience and other people can benefit.
Yes.
I know how painful and frustrating it is if you can't find your people to work with.
Like an avenue to get that information out. Yeah. So let's talk about the books. Let's talk about books, because I did have two girls that couldn't be on today, wanted to know.
Okay.
Wanted to hear about the process of writing a book. Now, I know I don't know if you've been promoting James Maskell's Evolution of Medicine.
I was just with him this week. He was in Miami.
Okay. So I was listening to him talking about, and I don't remember what podcast it was on or where I heard it. Okay. I'm blanking, but he was talking about how people think that you have to hire a publisher and it has to be this big deal and you have to give all your money away. And he was like, this nonsense. He's like, I literally wrote a book, put it on Amazon and sold it. Like
that's what I did.
Okay. So let's talk about that, because I know people have books in their brains and they want to, but it is intimidating. I did go to the round table at Mindshare and sat and listened to how to hire a publisher, and it was kind of like overwhelming. I actually got up and walked off because I could not. I know, right? I mean, she was helpful, but I was like, this is not something I can even like absorb, because she was saying you need to do this and this is where you do this. I want simple. So
okay.
Give us simple.
Simple. So my Blissful Business book, I was writing the course and I just wanted to put into like a workbooky type thing. The book that's on Amazon now, it's very workbooky. Like it's 7 chapters and I teach you a lesson like we're doing right now. Like you need to give, stop getting, give. And then I say, okay, here's some exercises to do. And so each chapter has exercises. And I just wrote it in a Word document, hired someone to put in the pictures, and I uploaded it on Amazon. Now, I had no intention with that book to become like a best-selling author or whatever. Like that book it's like a manual, And it's designed to support my clients and anybody that wants to be my clients, or people that want, you know, kind of like an inexpensive resource that they can access to do some self-study and some stuff. So I mean, James's goal for Evolution of Medicine is a bit different because he's trying to reach hundreds and thousands of people, and he's trying to change functional medicine. And I mean, like, he has like big aspirations, and that's not what mine was. Mine was like, I just need to create a tool and I need to put it online where people can get it. That's it. So I think you need to be really clear, again, to go back to the podcast conversation, the blogging, the video. There's a theme here. If you haven't heard the theme yet, which is like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you writing a book? How do you want it to convert? Because you can't make a living putting books on Amazon. Like, you're not going to make a living. Like, unless you write the next 50 Shades of Grey or something, which health coaches don't really write that. But like, unless you're writing that, you're not going to make a living writing. It's very, very, very rare to make a living writing. What you can do is you can use writing as leverage to get a speaking gig or teaching gig or get more clients. You can use it as leverage to create revenue in other ways. But then you want to be clear. Like, I have a friend who's an attorney, and he wrote a book about film, and it was almost like 3 years of his life were just kind of lost. It didn't help his practice. He didn't sell very many books. He kind of had fun doing it, but he didn't really think about it as like, well, what do I want to do in the future, and how is this book going to help me? So I know people that do a lot of weird things with books that don't really meet an end goal. And so I really like to encourage people to think backwards. What are you trying to do? Why are you writing a book? If you just want to get something off your chest, then write something and read it to your friends and go back to your, doing your work. Like, but seriously, like, I mean, how important is it to you to build your health coaching practice? Is this like your number one priority? If this is your number one priority, like, I belong to a creative writing group. We write and read and perform stories. I meet them once a week, but I consider that like a social activity. It's not part of my business. And so the reason I wrote Blissful Business, a gorgeous guide to creating your dream career in health and wellness, is because these are my people. If you read this, then you know that, I'm your coach. I'm your person that can be a guide for you and can support you. So I think strategy is really important with the book stuff. So
it's almost like an opt-in. It's almost like you're doing it because you're trying to get an audience. You're trying to gather people to you. You're trying to gather your people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Or some people are writing because they really want to create a movement. Like, James is like super passionate about transforming medicine, period. And like, he's doing the functional forum and the book and everything. Cause this is his passion. So, if you're passion, I have a client now who had a stroke when she was young, and after the stroke she suffered from a lot of anxiety, and now she really wants to speak to people who have these kinds of either brain injuries or conditions or things like that. Like, she's a platform that's bigger than I want to get clients. Like, she really wants to be part of the conversation about stroke, about brain health, about, like, she really has this larger mission that she's trying to serve with her writing and everything that she's doing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm my automatic thing when you say stroke is My Stroke of Insight, that book, My Stroke of Insight. I know you read that, right? It's amazing. That's an amazing book. Okay. So that's helpful. So give me the steps real quick. Like, you wrote the book in Word, you gave it to someone, and you named, what did you say earlier? You said Upworks? Now, what is Upwork? Is it a virtual assistant type of thing, or is
it's a directory, like, where you put the job that you have available, and then people apply for the job and you hire them. So it used to be Elance, it used to be Odesk. They all got together.
That's what I was. Okay.
Yeah.
They merged. Okay. I need to update that because I have the old names. Okay. And how did you? That's another good topic. Like, I'm just grabbing topics off everything you say. Because I don't want to have to go out and learn it. So I was going to ask you, so how do you determine that someone is going to be a good person to hire?
Well, for me, because I'm like a hardcore feminist, I only pick women. That's like my thing. And also it's a global pool of people. I only pick people in North America. I want to be in the same time zone. So I tend to pick like young women who are like in college or just graduated from college. I want to support them to build their career, like whether they're a designer or they're whatever they're doing. So I have kind of like a narrow selection criteria that I look for. And then you just have a conversation with them. Like you can have a phone call or you can have email exchange or whatever. You have a conversation and you can pay them by the hour of the week so they can get started. You can test them for a week. And if it's a disaster, you can pick somebody else.
Okay. So there's most of them don't have contracts then. They're usually like a per job.
There's all different ways you could do it. You can do a fixed price. You can pay them by the hour. You can hire them short-term, long-term. I mean, there's all the different criteria that you can decide all that.
Yeah, very similar to Fiverr, like Veronica's asking, like Fiverr. Yeah, because I've heard of Fiverr and I've even used it.
Yeah, I like Fiverr.
Hasn't been my main go-to type of place though, but I'm very fortunate.
I use it for transcriptions. You know, it cost me like I don't know, like 50 cents a minute or something. That's what I use Fiverr. But like Upwork is people, like some people charging like lots and lots of money. Like they're professional IT marketing, whatever people, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I'm all about the outsourcing too. I'm really, I do talk about that because I feel like I wasted a lot of time when I was building my business, trying to do everything and be everyone to everything. I mean, and not only just in business, but in my husband, my child, everything. So I'm really big about, doing the outsourcing. And for me, tell me what your thoughts about this are as well. If I don't absolutely love it and it's not something I want to do, then I try to find someone else to do it for me so that I can open myself up to other creative, things that I want to work on.
Yeah.
Is that what you believe too?
Yeah. I mean, I had a girl build my website, I had people do transcriptions. I had the girl do the pictures in the book. A lot of times I have people do stuff that I just know I'm not good at. Like I can't I'm not a graphic designer. Like I can go into like Canva and like make a quick thing to put up for whatever. But
yeah,
if I know that I don't know how to do it, but I'm also somebody who likes, like after the girl built my website, I did like a 2-hour tutoring session with her. I wanted to understand if I need to go in and change something, how do I do it? So she made some like tutorials for me and she talked me through it. So I do like to I don't like to feel powerless once I've created something. I don't want to feel powerless to change it. So yes, I'll hire people to do it, but I'm also kind of a control freak and I want to know how to fix it if it breaks.
I'm the same way. I mean, I was thinking one time, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need to get in behind the scenes and figure out all this, Divi Builder and all of that on WordPress, because what if Mike is like sick and I can't get a hold of him or something, So I did the same thing. He set everything up. He manages it. He does all of that, but I have to go in and play with it just so I don't feel completely lost.
Yeah.
So I think that, one of the things people have a hard time with when it comes to outsourcing and building their business is letting go of the money, is spending the money and knowing that the investment that they're making financially is part of investing in your business and your
success. You better know what the conversion is going to be. I know I sound like a broken record, but what's the conversion on the website? If you just build a pretty website and it has no opt-in and it has no traffic, you've just wasted your money. You wasted it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are things that can be measured. They can be measured. So, it's like the investment makes sense when you know the return on the investment makes sense. If I know that I put up a website with a great opt-in and I blast it out and a bunch of people sign up for my program and I'm generating a few $1,000s a month, then I made more money than I spent on the website. If I put up the website and there's no opt-in and there's no traffic and nobody's there, I just wasted all that money. It doesn't make any sense. Right. So, I think we need a balance between doing stuff that we want to do because we like it and really having some kind of plan. How are we going to get the money back? If you're spending money, you should already be thinking about how it's going to come back to you.
Yeah, I agree totally. Veronica says, how do you find out the conversion, which is on the back end of the website, right? That's where I go to peek at numbers and analytics and things.
Well, that'll give you the traffic, but these are things you have to track. So, you have to track if you look and you see that 100 people went to your website and during the month of October. And of those 100 people, like there was like a download of some sort, like an opt-in of some sort, and 10 of them opted in, and then you emailed those 10 people and 2 of them signed up for discovery calls and 1 of them became a client, then, and that client gave you $1,000, then, you know, what you spent on the website that month was maybe $15 to host it, but you got one $1,000 client. So you made profit, you know, of the $1,000 minus the 15 or whatever. So I mean, you're supposed to track those things.
Right. Yeah.
You're supposed to pay attention.
I can actually go in and it says converted, and then it gives me a number on whether or not someone's opt-in converted. So I can look at that. And then you also know whether or not you're, you know, if you like, I have a merchant account through Iroquois. And so I know that if I have $4,000 in my bank account and 2 days later I have 6, somebody's shopping, somebody's buying a course, someone's doing something. So that, you know, conversion simply, you know, just means, Veronica, that you are, I mean, you will know, trust me, when you start making money, you know that things are converting, but you know.
Yeah, so Veronica says she had a website for a year and hasn't had any conversions. Then you don't have a good website, my friend. I'm sorry. You need to get someone to look at your website and tell you why it's not working. Because these things are very formulaic. It's like, I'm trying to think, you know, like if you put eggs and flour and milk and stuff into an oven and turn on the oven, a cake's going to come out. I mean, these things, they seem mysterious at first. But they're not. Once you kind of pull back the curtain and you kind of look at what is a website that converts successfully. I mean, go on YouTube, go online and Google, like, you know, templates for high conversion. I mean, you can research these things, and there's formulas for that, and there's formulas for SEO, and all of these things have a science behind them.
Yeah. And just remember that, Kathy's saying you need a great opt-in and resources and so on. But remember that no one's even going to know where your website is if you're not out there.
You have to drive traffic. Yeah.
You have to get out there and do drive traffic, put yourself out there. So that's key. So we're getting down to about 10 minutes to the end of the hour. So I just wanted to say thank you for being here. And your tips are, it's like real life tips. Like you're not saying, well, you should do this and have to do this and do this. Like you keep it really simple, which I love. Yes. And I know that the coaches are going to appreciate it. It looks like we have a question here from Natalia. Dr. Gabby, do you believe it's possible to get a few clients and exposure with just a Facebook group without the website for a new coach?
I think everything is possible. So yes, I think everything is possible. I think there's 80 million billion Facebook groups, and people put me in them all the time. I don't even know what's going on or what the point is. I don't think that makes any sense. I think a Facebook group that is run well and run strategically, like where you adding value and then pitching something, adding value and then pitching something, then yeah, absolutely. I don't think you need a website to start. I think one of the reasons that I'm such a firm believer that you don't necessarily have to have the most amazing online presence is because I've been working in wellness for 20 years and there wasn't even the internet when I started. Like there was no internet, right? So what did I do? I went and knocked on doors. Literally, when I got my massage license, I was living in a high-rise building that had like 20 floors. I literally knocked on doors. Hi, I'm Gabby, and I just graduated from massage school. Would you like a massage? It's $20. And it converted. I got several clients. So, I mean, I think all of these things are possible. Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups. I mean, they're all possible. But it's also possible that you could go around your neighborhood, knock on doors, hand out some chocolate chip cookies, vegan, gluten-free chocolate chip cookies to your neighbors and say, hey, I'm teaching a cooking class this weekend in my house about how to make vegan, gluten-free cookies. Do you want to come? It's $20. I also think that's effective. So I think, I think if you can run a really great Facebook group and people see value, track your conversions, see how it works.
Yeah. And I think it's also important to remember that when we think we can't do something or when we think we aren't worthy of money or income or being paid, then we're not going to get paid. Mm-hmm. I mean, if we have that belief inside of ourselves, and I had that for years, and I always refer, Sean Croxton and I were emailing one day, and I was like, I just feel like something's missing. This is about 3.5 or 4 years ago. And he was like, what do you mean what's something missing? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I can't possibly know more about health. I talk to doctors and I know more than doctors sometimes. Like, what's going on that I'm not getting, my business isn't building the way it should be. And he said, how many books do you have on your shelf about health? And I was like, hundreds. And he was like, well, how many do you have on your shelf about business? And I'm like, 2. Okay, thank you for the insight. I'm like, duh, I wasn't even focusing on building my business. All I thought I had to do was know a lot of information about health and everyone would come to me.
Yeah.
And that was not the case. So I had to shift my mind completely about that. So I think that's an important thing to note too.
That's super important.
Yeah. So, all right, you guys, if you don't have any further questions for Dr. Gabby, we're going to let her get back to her very busy and successful life. And I just appreciate everything so much. And I'm going to be linking directly to your book because I think that's, you know, I mean, I'll probably download it too, just because I think anytime, you know, that we get something crosses our paths, we have to investigate whether or not it's there for a reason. And so I think it'd be very, very helpful. And just thanks for having me on your podcast too. And just really.
Yeah, of course. I'm someone who loves to be in collaboration with other practitioners. I have an open door policy. Like, even if you're doing the exact same thing as me, let's get together and talk about how we're doing it and how we can do it better. I'm like so open to collaboration. And I think that's the direction we need to go. We all need to support each other and mentor each other and share resources.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And I just appreciate you very much. And are you going to be there next year at Mindshare?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
I didn't plan my 2017 yet. I'm going into like my end of the year hibernation, reflection, what worked, what didn't work, what should I do differently next year. I need to assess and make a plan for next year.
Yeah, I've decided that I'm signed up. I'm going to go, but I'm also going to like sleep the entire week before. Right. And then I launched the day I went to Mindshare. I launched a program the day I left. So I'm not going to do that again. So those are the things I've already evaluated and learned.
Nice.
So, all right. Well, I appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll be in touch and I will chat with you later.
Okay. Thanks, Carmen.
Bye. Bye.